It's time to start your morning by taking 5. Here's your host, Matt McMaster.
You're listening to Take 5, a quick 5-minute take on the biggest things happening in Nebraska sports. I'm your host, Matt McMaster, and today we are talking about Nebraska football. Yesterday, John Butler talked. It was a very interesting press conference and where, he talked a lot about the depth of the defense. He believes that they have a lot of guys who can play in that secondary. He talked about how he has a lot of guys that he believes can play at the linebacker position. We know a couple of players who can play at the D-line position. And then you kind of go through this roster. There is a lot of familiarity. There is some, production in various places coming back, whether it be production at Nebraska or production at other places. But it got me thinking of whether or not we should be concerned about this team's overall depth. That if you go position by position, should we be worried about how many players you can really trust on this team to go out and perform week in and week out? And when I went down the list, I do have some depth concerns when it comes to Nebraska football right now. Let's start at the top. Quarterback. You have Dylan Raiola. He was the first quarterback last season in quite some time to start every single game for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. If you're going off of trends, that probably won't happen again. Now, that's just going off of trends and going off of probability. There's no reason for me. I mean, I cannot predict to you that Dylan Raiola is going to get hurt. But in the case that he does, in the case that he isn't ready to go in one or two games this season, I am worried about the backup quarterback situation. Jalen Gramstad was really, really good in the NAIA level, but hasn't played in Division I, Power 5 football. I think that should be a concern. You also have two guys behind Gramstad and Marcos Davila and TJ Lateef, where those guys, they're raw. They're learning the offense, and they haven't played. They don't have any experience as well. And so if Dylan Raiola were to get hurt, I would have massive concerns in terms of the depth there. Let's go to running back. I would have massive concerns if Emmett Johnson were to go down. You don't have a ton of experience there, whether it be with Ives or Mekhi Nelson or Connor Booth or Jamarian Parker. There isn't. I don't see in a situation where either Raiola or Johnson were to go down, I'd be incredibly worried. If you go to the offensive line, we've heard mixed things, honestly, in terms of whether or not that depth is there from younger players. Now, you do have some older players in Teddy Prohaska and Turner Corcoran where hopefully if they're able to stay healthy, they can be pieces as well. So I'm a little bit more confident in the depth of the offensive line when you consider the fact that they have a mix of younger guys and a mix of older guys. So I'm not overly concerned there, but at the same time, it's if you suffer injuries, especially within that interior of the offensive line, I'm going to be concerned. I think there are three position groups that I am for sure I'm cool with. I'm okay with where they're at right now. Wide receiver, you have a proven guy in Dane Key. Isaiah Hunter had a really good season last year. I think that he can only get better. Ja'Cory Barney for his freshman year was incredible. And then you have Isaiah Mosey and Cortez Mills, who we've heard already have made massive impacts on the offensive end. Dana Holgerson said that they're going to be contributors come the fall. So even you look at a guy like Demetrius Bell, who is coming back from an injury that he suffered last spring, there is some hope that, not hope. That's a pretty deep group there. I think the linebackers, in terms of having Marcus Watson-Trent, having Dasan McCullough, who both came in through the transfer portal, having younger guys like Vincent Shavers and Willis McGahee, who looked really good in the Pinstripe Bowl. You also add in getting Javen Wright back, confident in that linebacker group. I think that they have a lot of guys to play with when it comes to the defensive back area. Kind of talked about it yesterday. Caleb Benning, Donovan Jones, and then you have Deshaun Singleton, Marquise Buford, Malcolm Hartzog, Sierra Wright. You even got some younger guys who've played a little bit of Jeremiah Charles. I think they have a lot of pieces to work with. It's just who is going to emerge as those right pieces to play there in the secondary. But when you get to the D-line, I'm heavily concerned on the D-line depth. I'm concerned, honestly, with the D-line just to begin with, just in terms of production. Cam Lenhart bursting onto the scene his freshman year. Suffered an ankle injury his freshman year. Then his second year, played a solid role on a defensive line, but definitely was in a back seat, and rightfully so. You can't blame him, to Nash Hutmacher and Ty Robinson. But that's a guy where a lot of people look at him as, hey, he's going to be a big deal this year. And he has played not a ton. He's played a decent amount, a good amount where, yeah, he's got Power 5 experience, but you don't know if throughout the entirety of a season, the production can be there from Cam Lenhart. The same thing can be said about Riley Van Poppel. The same thing can be said about Keona Davis. The same thing can be said about Jalen George, who was a transfer that they got, who was playing non-Power 5 football last season, right? And so the guy that, Elijah Judy is another guy where he's played a ton of football. He's been on this team for a while, but he hasn't been asked to give the production that you would expect from a top guy because of the guys who were in front of them. And yes, it's their job to step up and get better and have that production. But even from like it's not even a depth conversation with the D-line, because I believe that the linebackers can be really good. I believe the defensive backs can be really good. I have faith that Dylan Raiola and Emmett Johnson and the wide receivers in the wide receiver room are going to be good. You have proven commodities on the offensive line. You have a lot of guys on that D-line who, yes, they've played, but they haven't been nearly expected to do as much this season as they have in the past. They're going to have to take a massive, massive step this year if they are going to take this defense from being in the top 25 and the top 20 to being elite like they want it to be. And so I'm concerned about the depth in certain spots throughout the roster, and I'm just overall concerned right now about the D-line of this Nebraska football team. And what it's going to come down to is having a good spring camp, having a good rest of spring camp, having an even better fall camp, and getting these very high potential guys in the interior of the defensive line to prove to all of us that, hey, we're not just more than good high school recruits. We're not just more of guys who shown moments and had flashes in the pan in season passes. No. We are legit. We can easily fill the shoes of Nash Hutmacher and Ty Robinson. Gotta hope that that's the case. It's a tall task to ask. We'll see if they can accomplish it. I've been Matt McMaster, and this has been Take 5.